Good morning. I'm MJ from Lioness Publications, and today we're going to do just a short session on Marco Rubio. The reason that I picked him for a session today is that I think he's done a good job of being able to integrate himself into the Trump administration without so far selling his soul. And I say that hesitantly. I think his intellect, his ability to discern situations probably helped in the meeting yesterday in making sure that Ukraine wasn't just literally given away. So I've been watching him for a while, and I've been wanting to do a session, but there just didn't seem to be an appropriate time. But I think this is a good time to do it now. So as everyone probably remembers, that he was actually also running for president back in 2016. And that was against Trump. And as like most of the other candidates, no one really knew how to deal with Trump. And he didn't do well, unfortunately. And it's surprising that Trump asked him to become part of the cabinet. But sometimes Trump likes it when people sort of grovel and will come on board. But he did get a very experienced person. And I think it's showing in some of his, foreign decisions. And it was definitely a surprise that he actually had Rubio come into the meeting yesterday with Putin. I mean, it's good for the United States, I think, that happened. And I think it was also good maybe for Trump to sort of get a different read on Putin. And I think it was good for Rubin being in the same room with Putin. So I think this is going to cause a different dynamic in the White House. I could be wrong. So let's take a look first at what's been happening. Okay. First off, we have Uranus, and this was back around 731, so not that long ago. It's going to be coming up again around 1012. Uranus is opposing Jupiter and Neptune in his chart. And this indicates that he's being pushed to expand his worldview. And he is. He's Secretary of State. He needs to go out to foreign countries. He needs to find out what their concerns are, what the United States' concerns are in relation to that country. So there's a lot of, scoping out what's happening in the rest of the world. Not that he didn't do it before. Before, when he was in the Senate, he was definitely involved with, foreign policy. But here he is more one-on-one with these people. So this is indicating that there's going to be some radical changes coming up and have been happening to his foreign policy ideas. And it's shaking up his worldview, which can be a little daunting when it happens, but it's actually good in the long term. And this means that he's probably going to have to justify what he feels on national policy. And he has to stand up to other people. So the opposition is a conflict, meaning that people are going to be fighting you on this. It's a, give and take type situation. Now, next that we have is on August 2nd. And this is Saturn that's coming up to try Neptune. In this case, it's a trine, great angle. That means he's actually very grounded. Saturn is grounding the Neptune type illusionary things. So it means that he's going to have a very realistic worldview. And he's very grounded in building something that's realistic. So he's not having any flights of fantasy of oh, wouldn't it be nice if this could happen? He's going to be very, realistic. We also have Saturn that's going to be trying Jupiter. And that's on 8/17. So that's coming up. And this is really showing up in this meeting that he just had. In this case, he was probably a very stabilizing influence. And I say that hesitantly because, he does, at least previously, may have been prone to doing a reaction before thinking. I think in this case, he's probably grown a lot. So he was very stabilizing, very slow, very steady. So definitely, making the merits of any case that he can have. So this is realism, and it's also being optimistic. So it's Saturn, which is the focus, on Jupiter, which is the opportunities. How can we create opportunities? How can we move ahead? But Saturn wants it to be realistic, wants it to be focused. Now on 8/23, we're going to have Neptune trining Neptune. Now, in this case, since it's a trine, it's Neptune coming against Neptune. A lot of times, illusions start to get dissolved away here. So it's not that you end up having a pretty picture. It's more connected to what you can do from an idealistic perspective. So it's grounded in some reality here, but it's very much into what you can do, what you can accomplish. Now on 9/17, what we have is Neptune trining Jupiter. Definitely time to dream big. So this is a time when he can come into his own on making some foreign policy, and he can make it stick. So that's a really good sign. Now, what's a little interesting is that we have Saturn opposing Pluto. Now, this actually came about the first time right around April 22nd of this year. It's coming up again in around October 10th and again around the 13th of January. So what does this mean? He's, in effect, he's probably resigning himself to accept reality. And in this case, this is, I'm assuming, definitely associated with the Trump administration. So he's accepting the conditions where he has to function. It also brings up his ability to navigate when the old rules are collapsing and trying to move ahead while also trying to create new rules. So he's doing foreign policy at a time when it's not really defined. So he has a chance to define it and also to stand out. But it also means that he's sort of testing and experiencing the results of past decisions, his past choices in life. It also brings up unresolved power struggles. So as I mentioned, in other videos, I think the beginning of next year is going to be a time of some power struggles within the Trump cabinet or within the Trump administration. So it'll be interesting to see what comes about then. Now, let's take a look at a progression. And in this case, there's nothing going on in the progression. If we take a look at the solar arc, though, we have got Uranus, which is sitting right on Jupiter and Neptune. Now, Uranus, new things, changes, electrifying. On what? On his idealism and on opportunities to get things done. So what's going to happen to his vision? It's going to expand out. Clarity. And especially in his position as Secretary of State, he would be shifting more to a diplomatic view rather than being aggressive. So this is sort of significant. We don't have a Mars involvement here or a Pluto. So it's saying we want to make change, but we want to make it make it so it's diplomatic and we get things done. Now, as I noted, it'll be interesting to see what happens at the beginning of next year. As I said in other videos, there's maybe changes in the Trump administration. So it'll be interesting to see whether Rubio shows up here. Now, I hope you like this and have a great day. Bye now.